I'm sitting here with Dr. Ellie Mandelbaum. If you could just introduce yourself and a little bit of your background and what you're doing currently.
Sure. So happy to be here. So I am a licensed clinical psychologist. I practice out of New City. Originally, I'm from Brooklyn. I got my degree from LIU Post. They have a clinical PsyD program based on Long Island. And I work mostly in my private practice in New City. I also do 1 day a week at Ezra Medical Center in my hometown of Brooklyn. And I work with adults, individuals, and couples.
Okay. And I work with marriage and divorce crisis. So I'm going to ask a few questions
Sure.
on that end. But do you see along the Jewish community, the secular community, maybe the Hasidic community, do you see similar issues?
So, I mean, it's an interesting question. I guess the way I think about people in general is we're all quite similar, often more similar than we would like to believe. And so I think we do see similar issues. I think, though, they may manifest differently. The realities are that the frum community struggles with some of the same things as the non-frum or non-Jewish communities. I think this is something that we don't want to believe, but has been the unfortunate reality. And that's why, us therapists are quite busy, which is fortunate for the therapist, but unfortunate for the community. But I think there are a lot of similarities between some of the struggles that couples that, from secular backgrounds and couples from backgrounds. I think there are a lot of similarities and there are some differences. I think culturally, different cultures where people come from, also really play a significant role in those differences.
It's very interesting. Do you find that there are women issues and men issues, men that come with similar issues time and time again, and then women who display similar issues time and time again, or does it totally mix and it's not gender?
So I think there's stereotypes. We're supposed to believe that stereotypes are no good, but they're stereotypes for good reason, because there's certain things that men come for more often than women would come for. And there's some things that women come more often for than men would. I guess, for instance, I find that, many of the clients or some of the clients that I see are men who struggle with feeling, with self-esteem issues, issues related to being too passive in their relationships. They're often encouraged by their wives or their mothers to come into therapy. So that, I see more with men. With women, a bit less. It's a bit different, but I think this is sort of anecdotal, this type of evidence. So I would sort of turn more to the research and what it suggests. But based on my experience, I do see some of those differences based on gender.
Okay, and do you deal with each case specifically, or is there a way you deal with a passive man? Do you have a method?
So I think, as we were talking a little bit before this, I work from a relational approach, which really puts an emphasis on a person's early relationships. Like when a client comes to me and they're 25 years old and they say, I'm struggling in my relationship, I try to sort of look at them, and say that, you're here at 25, but you've gone through 25 years of experience. And how did you become the person you are today? Because you're coming here at 25 with 25 years of baggage, not necessarily negative, but 25 years of experience. And based on, we learn a lot about ourselves and we learn about the ways we relate to people based on our early childhood experiences. And that's something that I tend to really try to learn a lot about and explore. And I think there is some similarities that, passive men have in common based on those early childhood experiences. And so I think there are always differences. Everybody's different. No one's the same. But there often does seem to be some similarities.
Yeah. And if you could pinpoint a few things that you think cause divorce, or maybe a lot of people who are getting divorced also have, what would you say those things are?
Well, I guess flexibility. I think that's...
I know I put you on the spot. Yeah. This is hard.
Yeah. I think being inflexible is really something that makes marriages really hard. I think people are different. Husband and wife are different. They come from different places, different backgrounds, as similar as they are. You can have two people from the same Hasidic community, the same sect, the same schools, but they're still very different because they're different people. Every person is different. And so, I think that the ability to be flexible, the ability to sort of tolerate a different opinion, to tolerate a different understanding, and to be able to work through that. I think that is something really important for marriages. And when that's not there, when there's this inflexibility, I think that, can lead to a lot of conflict and potentially, divorce.